Yes, we are live again on Facebook. I'm very happy to be back with another guest, John Shearer. He is one of my best friends from another country, and I'm very happy to be here. And today we will be talking about mindfulness. But before we go any further, let me introduce myself. I am Yuri Alex Moura, and I was born in Manaus City, and currently I live in a city called Foz do Iguaçu in another state that I moved to. And I'm a linguistics student in college, and I study about language, I study about people, about culture, society, and all of that. And today we are here to talk with John Shearer. John Shearer, would you like to say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself?
G'day, Alex. You were 18 years old when I first met you. How old are you now?
22.
22. Excellent. You've come a long way, that's for sure. So, congratulations. Yeah, my name's John Shearer, and I'm a mindfulness master based in Australia. And I've been on quite a journey through mental health issues. And what really brought me to my current Well, I'm awakened, is the word I like to use these days, but it's really due to the practice of mindfulness. So, we're going to talk about mindfulness today, Alex, and well done for hosting this.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so happy to have you today. And let's go to our first question. What inspired you to embark on your mindfulness journey, and how has it transformed your life? Tell us a little bit about your background and how this brought you to mindfulness.
In 1982, I died in a truck crash and was obviously revived. My dog was killed, and I was pretty smashed up, and I needed operations and things. But the lasting thing was being diagnosed with mental health issues and then getting stuck in the mental health system for 15 years. Mental health professionals told me that what I had was incurable. They told me I'd have to take medication for the rest of my life. And they told me I would probably never work again. And I believed them. And that kept me stuck because they're the professionals. Yeah, I was just a truckie. What would I know? And that really kept me stuck. So we've really got to be careful what we believe, Alex. So in 1997, after 15 years, I got what I call my miracle when an old friend was passing through town and he had what he called a spiritual prompt to come and knock on my door and share his story. And that story led to my spiritual awakening, and everything changed. With my newfound perspective on dark and light, I was able to get my life back. I was able to work again. I was able to get off medications, and I've had no more depression ever since. Through my 15 dark years, I call them, and I call them dark years because I couldn't see the truth. I didn't know what was going on. But today, I'm thankful for my dark years because it's helped make me who I am today. And honestly, when we start using our lived experience, even in your young life, Alex, and sharing our story, it inspires people. People think, well, I'm not the only one. If John can do it, well, so can I. So I recovered, and I recovered due to my new belief, or it's more than a belief, in dark and light. I still had unhelpful and negative thoughts, like we all do. I don't think anyone's exempt from that. But I could handle it with I would say to myself, oh, that's from the dark side. I'm not going there. I'm going to continue to walk in the light. And makes such a difference because you change your mindset from negative to positive, with that newfound belief. So
Absolutely.
that's a little bit about my background and journey, Alex.
Yes, absolutely. And I like how you share that we should not believe everything that someone talks about ourselves. I read in one of your studies and books that you said we are not our thoughts. Can you go a little bit about this? Can you talk about this? We are not our thoughts.
Thoughts are just that. They're thoughts. Nothing more or less than that. They're thoughts. There's no need to dwell on them. There's no need to especially ruminate on them. There's no need to fight with them. There's no need to try and stop them or make them go away. There's no need to try and avoid them by overworking or using drugs or alcohol. Thoughts are just thoughts. They're not us. They're not even real. So the practice of mindfulness has really helped me to observe my thoughts rather than getting all caught up in them. And that's why I say we are not our thoughts. Yeah.
That's really fantastic. We are not our thoughts. Don't believe in everything that your mind tells you. Yes. So let's go to our next question. Can you explain the core principles of mindfulness practice for someone who is new to the concept?
I've studied mindfulness for 10,000 hours, over 10,000 hours. I've studied it in all cultures and I found it in all cultures. And mindfulness, or how I've simplified all that study and research, is be mindful, pause, connect. That's how I've simplified it. And that's what the practice is. So for your guests, Alex, I'll just explain that. Be mindful is an instruction that I teach people to use, and it's an instruction from our heart, because through all my spiritual research and studies, I fully realize that God reads hearts. I'll say that again. God reads hearts, not minds, hearts. So we put our heart in charge and we use the instruction, be mindful. Anytime we notice an unhelpful or negative thought, or we notice our mind in the past, which can make us depressed, or in the future, which can make us anxious, or we just notice our mind far away, then we use the instruction, be mindful, we tell ourselves. And then we allow that to trigger a pause. It only takes a few seconds. We pause. And with practice, we do it in an instant. It becomes automatic with practice. So we pause, and in that pause, we connect. We connect in three different ways. We connect with where we are, and it doesn't matter where we are. It can be anywhere, at work, at play, anywhere at all. And we use our five senses, especially sight and hearing, but also smell, taste, and touch if we're with a partner. We connect. The second way we connect is with full presence with who we're with. Just be fully present. It's the greatest gift we can give our loved ones and everyone, our friends and workmates, is our presence. I don't know how many times I heard from my children in throughout my dark years, Dad, have you been listening to me? Because my mind was far away. It was stressed out. So, and the third way we connect is with our source, with God, with whatever you believe your higher power is. Connect with it because it and make it the most important relationship you have. I've made it my most important relationship, that's for sure. And that's where the power is. So be mindful, pause, connect, and keep doing it until it becomes habit. And then you don't need the instruction once it becomes a good habit because we just automatically pause and connect, pause and connect. And when we start creating that little bit of silence in our minds, that's where the power is. That's it boosts our creativity, it switches on our intuition, and honestly, there's too many benefits to even name. That's for sure. When we start connecting with that nothingness where everything is, it's amazing. I know Christians especially pray, 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 pray. But if they don't pause their minds to receive,
Yes.
then what's the good of prayer? We've got to make it a conversation with God. So that's the practice.
Yes,
Alex,
definitely.
be
Yes.
mindful, pause, connect. And you know it well because you have such a practice and for
Yes.
years.
Be, yes. Yes, definitely. I like this concept to be mindful, pause, and connect. And then I use it every time that I'm on the street, that I'm like going on automatic mode. Yeah, so I like to practice this as well. And everybody talks about meditation as well. And sometimes people will go and sit on a chair and stop for 30 minutes and be silent. But our question goes, what's the relation between mindfulness and meditation? Are they the same?
No. And simply put, meditation is something we make time to do. And when we meditate, we are practicing mindfulness, sure. But meditation, not everybody can meditate. I know through my dark years when I was stressed out, depressed, anxious, suicidal even, my mind was far too busy to meditate. And that's true for a lot of people. They're too stressed out, anxious, things on their mind. And their thoughts are going like mine used to, just blah, 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 24/7, blah, 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 never stops. Well, they really can't meditate. I sure can today. But mindfulness is not something we make time to do. It becomes us. Our practice becomes our life in a way. And we live all our waking hours. And the more we practice mindfulness, the more we live in the present moment. Because whenever our thoughts are in the past or future or elsewhere or anywhere else, we miss we miss what's happening now. Life passes us by. So the more we can abide in the present moment, and when you think about it, it's all we ever have is the present moment because the past has happened. And this is very important too. We should always look at our past as all lessons, nothing more or less. It's nothing to dwell on. What if this, if only that? No. Be mindful, pause, connect, and live now. Yeah. And meditation, a lot of people think meditation is pausing your thoughts or stopping your thoughts. No, it's about observing your thoughts. And when we start observing our thoughts, we don't get caught up in them, and we just let them pass like clouds in the sky, like waves in the ocean. Just let them flow. And once we are able to let our thoughts just flow and live in the present moment, we see the beauty in the world. We see beauty and the light in people we don't even like. It's amazing. So practice. Yeah.
Yes. Practice and practice and practice. Yes. And this is so important. I like to define the difference between mindfulness and meditation. And we need to define it so people can understand it. And I'm so grateful that you did it very well. Because meditation, we make time for it, right? I have to meditate at this time during this time. But mindfulness is a lifestyle, as you said. It becomes us, right? That's so fantastic. Our next question is: mindfulness is often or is associated with stress reduction. How can mindfulness techniques be applied to manage stress and anxiety effectively? This question is for those people who go through anxiety and are suffering with anxious thoughts. How would you answer that question, John?
Mindfulness is the absolute best thing for all sorts of issues, especially stress, anxiety, PTSD, which is a stress disorder caused from past events. And it's very real. And I know a lot of people who suffer from PTSD have physical symptoms. They have sweaty palms. They get knotted up in the stomach. I know one guy, and he has nightmares, and he gets thrown out of bed, and he wakes up and he's on the floor. And these are physical symptoms. They're very real. But the best way to tame those symptoms is to practice mindfulness. Just pause and connect throughout your day. And when you actually get rid of fear, because I really believe fear is the basis for all problems, fear. And when we start not dwelling on anything in the past, then things certainly improve. And creating a little bit of space in our minds is how it improves, because then the universe or God is able to drop good thoughts into our mind. We start receiving divine wisdom and intelligence. It's available for everybody.
Mhm.
Even Albert Einstein, a very famous inventor, and he didn't take credit for all the things he invented because he knew he was channeling it. But we don't have to be Albert Einstein to be able to channel new things, creative things. We can all do it. How? By pausing our minds and connecting with that nothingness, like I said before, where everything is. So if you're stressed out, start practicing. Just practice the pause. If someone's in your face saying or doing something that doesn't line up with your beliefs, perhaps, and sometimes that makes people angry even, then when we start practicing the pause, rather than react to what's happening, we pause just an instant, we pause. And then when we pause our thoughts, and that's what I'm talking about when we pause, pausing our thoughts. When we pause our thoughts, you'll gain insight into why they're saying or doing what they're doing.
Yes.
And then out of the silence you create in your mind, something wise or intelligent will drop in, and then you'll be able to respond. And it's the same for anxiety. It's all about noticing. And that's what mindfulness is really all about. Another word for mindfulness is awareness. So when we start becoming aware of what our minds are doing, what our thoughts are doing, because consider this, that our feelings start with a thought and our emotions come from feelings. So if we start catching those thoughts when they first show up, so it's all about really noticing our thoughts and then responding if we need to, or just let it go. And when we start practicing this, yeah, stress and anxiety really they just take a back seat. Those thoughts that were triggering us one time, because it's about triggers, all sorts of triggers happen. But when we start noticing that, then and we don't do anything with it. This is the important thing. We just accept our thoughts, how good or bad they are. Accept them all, and that way they lose their power. Because when we start fighting or, or, or focusing on our thoughts and dwelling on them, or start going around in circles in our minds, that gives them power, and they can turn into real monsters. They
Mhm.
can cause people to suicide even. Our
Yes.
thoughts, very powerful. So we just observe them, nothing more, nothing less.
Absolutely. I like this idea of observing, right? Because if we get caught up in our thought, so as you said, it may it may end up in suicide, and this is very dangerous, right? And
Very.
and you know, I'm a college student. When you met me before, I had lots of free time, but nowadays I study, I work, I go to church, and all of that. And our next question goes like that: mindfulness emphasizes being present in the moment. How can individuals integrate mindfulness into their daily routines and busy lives?
Do you know, Alex, every morning for 26 years now, I say, what are we doing today, soul? SOL, it's an ancient Roman word for the sun. I say the sun is my source energy. That's just me. But whatever you call your source, God, Lord, one time I did used to say that in the early years actually. What are we doing today, Lord? And then I would pause my mind. And for 26 years, I've been receiving daily instruction. We might have 500 things to do, things to study, uh, things to write, essays, or whatever you do in college. Sure. What do you do first? And whatever you do, don't multitask. Don't try and do two things at once
Mhm,
because we can't do it. But each time you pause your mind or ask that question of the universe, what are we doing today? Because you make a partnership with God, with the universe. It's so important. What are we doing? Pause your mind, and the highest priority thing will drop in. And you can do this at any time through the day. And I do it still through the day as well. I just pause. And if I'm out and about, I pause my thoughts, that is. I pause. And in that pause, I connect with where I am, who I'm with, and with my higher power. And honestly, it will try it. Don't take my word for it. And the highest priority thing, or if the universe has got a job for you to do, even I call them spiritual prompts because sometimes I pause. Well, I'm always pausing. It's a habit of mine. I do it everywhere. I pause and I get prompted to say something to someone I don't even know, to go somewhere where I wouldn't normally go. And there's always a reason as well. It's quite amazing. And your life kind of becomes synchronized and more orderly, and you get done what you need to get done in a timely fashion as well. So I hope that helps you in
mhm,
your college journey, Alex.
mhm. It does help, and it's very important, like, to think and to reflect, to have our reflection time in the morning. What are we doing today? So right, this is so amazing. And our next question is: mindfulness can be a profound tool for personal growth and self-awareness. Could you share an example of how mindfulness has helped someone you've worked with in their personal development?
There's hundreds and hundreds, but the biggest benefit really is it helps in our relationships, all relationships, not just the your loved ones and people close to you, but fellow students, workmates, everyone. Because when you do start pausing and connecting and practicing mindfulness, you see you see more, or your intuition becomes strong for one thing, but you see between the lines, if you know what I mean. Because we're all connected. That's the truth. And once you realize that, then everything changes. And even people, like I said before, people you might not even like, there's a lesson in it for you. Why don't you like them? There's probably something in us that's causing that. So when we start looking to ourselves and stop judging people, which is really hard to do because we're all judges, aren't we? And I'm always pulling myself up for that. But yeah, it's relationships. That's what gets stronger. Yeah, because you really do start to see the beauty in the world and not the ugly. The ugly's still there, but we don't see it. We sort of we really start living a life of positivity and just seeing the bright side to everything. And even when shit happens, because that's a fact, that's
Mhm.
life. Shit will happen, not when or if, it will, because that's life. But it's how we handle that. And mindfulness is honestly the greatest tool to be able to handle that. So, because we can't, the reward for our practice is peace of mind and clarity of mind. Things I never had one time, but I sure do today. But that doesn't mean that I don't get distracted or shit happens, because it does. And it pulls us out of our peaceful state. But we learn to return there very quickly. It's still important to experience our emotions be, because we shouldn't bottle them up, experience them, but then go back to our peaceful state straight away. And before you know it, you're like a guru, Alex.
Yes, I just like how you answered that question. And it has definitely helped me to improve my relationships with people. And in college, I like to connect with different kind of person, every student. Yes, it's so important because we are not judging people. We're not here to judge. We're not judges, right? We are here to connect. As you said, we have this connection, right? We are connected to one another. So why should we judge people, right? And even though you talked a little bit about some of the benefit, this question is also very important. Mindfulness is often seen as a path to greater overall well-being. Can you describe some of the long-term benefits of a consistent mindful practice on mental and emotional health?
Well, the big thing is, we'll put it this way: stress is a killer, and that's well documented. Stress causes physical symptoms, it causes all sorts of health issues. So if we can find a way to uh, to beat that stress, then the flow on effects is a healthier body and certainly a healthier mind. But it's the healthy spirit, because you might have heard mind, body, and spirit. People say that a lot, but I think that's back to front, because how can we get our body right if our mind's not right? And how can we get our mind right if our spirit's not right? So it's got to start with our spirit. If we get our spirit right, then the flow on effects is our mind is right. And then the flow on from that, our body is right. So there's a huge benefit in mindful practice. And like I said before, the reward for our practice is peace of mind and clarity of mind. And we start living life in flow. Things flow. We start to live a life of synchronicity, because we've learnt that God reads hearts. And when we set our intention on the things that we desire, or as long as it's about others and and helping and things like that, then the universe starts moving the furniture for us. And as long as we're living with awareness and noticing the little things, because it could be just a simple thing like meeting the right person, or overhearing a conversation, or it could be anything that leads us or keeps us on our path, if you like. Yeah. So that's the huge benefit of a mindful practice.
Mhm. Definitely, definitely. It helps in many different areas of our lives. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity. when I met you back in 2020. I remember that I was 18 years old, and then when I saw you, you were giving another interview with another guy, and then when you were talking about mindfulness, and then I thought like, wow, this is where I should go. Peace of mind, clarity of mind. We pause, we connect with people in a meaningful way, and all of that. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And John, how can people work with you? What do you offer to help people to have this practice in their daily lives as well?
Well, 1 million people follow me on social media. So if you type into Google, be mindful, pause, connect, you'll find me. I've made it my thing for many years now. And wouldn't it be a wonderful world if the world started to be mindful, pause, connect,
Hmm.
and realize that we're all one? And that's almost my religion today, oneness.
Well,
We
it's true.
are all one, one with spirit, one with life. So I just wish the world could grab hold of that. And also, it's like Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. So we've got to start by loving ourselves, because otherwise, how can we love our neighbor if we don't love ourselves? So it starts with us. And I'm so proud of you for where
Mhm,
you've come. I often say it's always my hope that those who are touched by my ripple then create a ripple of their own. And that way we can change the world, Alex, one person at a time.
mhm,
Governments and
mhm.
religion haven't been able to do it, but we can.
We can. We can. Definitely. We can do it together. We can make a difference. And just just the last question. What's your message for this busy world? What's your message for the young generation, for everyone out there watching us?
Well, of course, it's be mindful, pause, and connect, and keep doing it until it becomes habit. And you'll attract the good stuff. You will. And everything starts with giving. So you want love? Give love. You want respect? Give respect. Everything starts with giving. So give of yourselves, set your heart intention, and connect with the universe, form a partnership with the universe, and do it together. Because honestly, we can't do it alone.
Mhm, definitely. I just loved this conversation today, and I'm so grateful and I feel so inspired to continue this practice in my daily life. John, thank you so much for your participation, for your time. I know that you work, you have your your responsibilities, but you gave this time here for us to connect with you. So thank you, John.
Thanks, Alex. You keep up the good work. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.